Episode 4133, Hear Me Out.
Moms, it's time to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew who you are in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, the show to help you do just that. Here's your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Christiane Wargo.
Happy day. It's Friday. Yay! Get excited because it's the weekend. It's here. And that means it's Confessions of an Upset Mama. So have you been there? Have you been in the circumstance where your kids are just like kind of driving you crazy? What's new, right? Hear me out. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted of your presence. If you already even had the opportunity, you want to head on over to createyournow.com where you can learn more and sign up for the Kisses newsletter, the Keep It Simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, this episode is brought to you by AIM, Inspiring Connection and Community. You know, as parents, it's easy to lose sight of the goal, right? We stress about how good we are at this, replaying conversations, grading ourselves on the tone of voice that we use, wondering if we handle the moment just the right way. But somewhere in that pressure, we start believing our job is to have it all put together, knowing that, yeah, we got this. So when we're handing our children the lessons we think they need, all we can hear in our own head is, hear me out. Hear me out. Listen. Because the last thing you want is your child shutting down your wisdom, right? You want them to hear every single word that comes out of your mouth. You've lived what you're teaching. You've got the scars, the hindsight, the answers. You want to be heard, and that want isn't wrong. It comes from love, right? It comes from not wanting them to learn the hard way, which you already learned the hard way, right? So why repeat it? If you can help them not have another hard way when you experience a hard way, more power to you, and they get off to a better start. But here's the question I think we need to sit with more. What if sometimes you're right and sometimes there's a better solution? Because it could be a both and, or it can be an and or. Sometimes you can be right, but at the same time, sometimes there might be a better solution. What then? Do you dig in? Do you sit quietly, arms crossed, trying to convince yourself that you're right and your child will just have to deal with it? Too bad, so sad. But you see, the goal was never to win the conversation, or was it? Only you can answer that. Come on, it's confession day, so be honest with yourself. Somewhere along the way, parenting conversations started to feel like debates. Like if we don't land our point, we failed at something. Yeah, I know. We've all felt it. I have many, many times. And with 5 kids, let me tell you, I have spoken dissertations to them and they're like, yeah, whatever. And I know at one point they were like, want, 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 want. That's all they hear from their mothers. Want, 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 want. A little Charlie Brown action there. But you see, this is the thing. Raising a child isn't a courtroom. Nobody needs a verdict. What they need is to feel like their voice matters in the room, even when they're young, even when they're wrong, even when their solution isn't as clean as yours. But we still wrap around going, but hear me out. It's like, come on, pay attention to me. Proverbs 27 verse 17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Sharpening isn't one blade forcing itself onto another. It's friction that refines both edges. All right, think about that. If we walk into every conversation as the only one who could possibly be sharpened, we've missed what the verse is actually trying to describe here. All right, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. We're to sharpen each other. This is not about you keeping score of, hey, I am the best parent. I know what I'm talking about. It's my wisdom. Shut your mouth and listen. Hear me out. All right, but guess what? I know you've thought that. You may have not said it, but it has been thought. I have too. Okay. It doesn't matter that we thought it. What matters is how we move forward. What matters is how we structure our conversations with our children. How are we communicating? Because being right isn't the same as being effective. You can be completely correct and still lose your child in the process. Not because your logic failed, but because they felt unheard on the way to your conclusion. Talk about the GPS system rerouting, recalculating. That's what they're doing in their head. Oh, I don't want to go this way. So all of a sudden, want. And then they don't have to acknowledge what you said. They didn't hear you. They don't care. Want. Kids don't remember the accuracy of your argument. They remember whether they felt safe enough to bring you the next hard thing. And that is what's sticky. That's what's hard for us as a parent. Because we have to find the harmony of giving them wisdom at the same time letting them be heard. And at the same time, not making it about us, but making it about them. So when your child pushes back with an idea you didn't expect, the instinct might be to steamroll it, right? However, gently, because you already know how the story ends. You've been there, you've done that. But pause there. Ask yourself, is this a hill or is this a hallway? Some things are non-negotiable. Most things are just a different way through the same door. Think about it. Hear me out, but also let me hear you out. That is your Kiss to Keep It Simple strategy. Let me hear you out. You meaning your child. That's the shift, not abandoning your wisdom. No, you don't want to do that. Not softening the truth until it's unrecognizable. No, just widening the room enough for two people to bring something to the table instead of one person delivering a verdict to the other. James 1:19 says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Notice the order in that. Listening comes first. Not as a courtesy before you say your piece, but as the actual work. Sometimes a resolution your child lands on, clumsy as it sounds coming out of an 8-year-old or a defiant teenager, right, has a piece of wisdom too you didn't consider. Not because they know more than you, because they're closer to their own life than you are. They see things differently. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, what does this look like when we put it into practice, right? Maybe it looks like saying, I hear what you're saying, tell me more. And actually meaning it even when your gut says you already know where this is headed. But you quiet yourself so your child can speak. Maybe it looks like being willing to say, you know what? That's actually a good point. And say it out loud, not just in your head. Not like, wow, I wish I would have thought of that. Have you ever had one of those moments? I have. I'm like, whoa, that was deep. And I love it when my kids have that. Celebrate it with them. You know what? That's actually a good point. Without it costing you your authority. Authority was never about always being right. It was about being trustworthy. This is not about being over someone, right? Being a parent is not about authority. It's not. There's a lot more to parenting than being in charge, to being the one who gets to twist and turn things the way you think they should go. Beware, because maybe the person that has the issues right now is you as in the parent. I know it stings a little bit, doesn't it? We've all had those moments where it's like foot in the mouth. Why'd I do that? Why'd I say that? Why'd I think that? We're not the end all be all. But you know what? Mom, Dad, sometimes we really act like we are. And I will say this, sometimes we have to be that way. Okay, there are circumstances that require us to say, this is it, right? This is concrete. It's lying in a concrete and it doesn't move. But a lot of times it's a line in the sand and it can shift a little. You know, it looks like holding your position when it truly matters and releasing your grip when it doesn't. You got to know the difference. You got to find that harmony. And knowing the difference takes what? Humility, not certainty. It's not about being boastful. It's not about saying, ha ha, look at me, You know, WIIFM, what's in it for me? I'm the parent. I get to get the award of the year. Best parent ever. Maybe. Or maybe not. Maya Angelou once said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Your child won't remember the exact wording of the lecture. My kiddos, they could not repeat the dissertations that I would give them, but they'll remember whether the conversation felt like a wall or a door. So what does it look like? If you want your child to be heard and actually hear your child, because it is a two-way street, what does it look like in real life? How do you sit there and have good intentions, but also know how to find the harmony in going, okay, but I still have the wisdom to share? What does it look like? Number one, say your piece, then ask a real question. You got to share your wisdom. That's still our responsibility to do so. But don't end on your conclusion. End on a question like, well, what do you think we should do? How's this making sense? Or does something feel off? I would highly recommend that when you ask the real question to them, make sure it's an open-ended one, not just a yes or no. You can follow it up with a yes or no to get a definitive. But make sure it's one that's going to be a conversation that they can have, not just, does it make sense to you? Yeah. That's the answer. They don't need to expand. You might be thinking, oh, but I want you to expand. Then ask the question so they will expand. What do you think we should do? Big difference. A real question is one you're actually willing to sit with the answer to, not one designed to lead them back to your point. Okay, this is not about proving you're right. Because maybe, what if your child can figure it out themselves as you're having a conversation? Guess what? You did something right 2 or 3 conversations prior to, which may have happened 2 or 3 months or years ago. And for whatever reason, it's stuck and it's back in their head at this moment. So say your piece, then ask a real question. Number 2, repeat back what you heard before you respond to it. So before you correct, defend, or explain, try saying, what am I believe I'm hearing you say. What I'm hearing you say is, and let your child confirm or correct you. It's all right. And you can do this at any age. Now, if you're dealing with a 2-year-old, your answers are going to be really, really short. But it's important. Their little voices need to be heard. And it's going to be different when you're in elementary school and move up into middle and high, into college age and young adulting. But you see, this does 2 things. It slows you down before you react. And it proves to your child that their words landed somewhere before your words fly back at them. It's not about mama always having to be right. It's about mama may eventually know best in the end, but wait, we're going to hear what Johnny Boy has to say, what Susie Q is talking about. So say your piece, then ask that real question. Repeat back what you heard before you respond to it. And finally, number 3, decide in advance which hills are actually hills. Not every disagreement needs to be won. I know you're thinking, well, that's not right. I want to keep score. Mama always needs to be right. Nope. Before the conversation even starts or in a calm moment afterward, get honest with yourself about what's truly a non-negotiable. Safety, character, values, versus what's just your preference for how something should be done. When you know the difference ahead of time, it's easier to hold firm where it matters and loosen your grip where it doesn't. None of this means abandoning your wisdom or pretending you don't know what you know. It means building a conversation with room for 2 people in it, not just one delivering a verdict to the other, right? So how do you have these conversations with your kiddos? And as they grow older, you've got to understand you're going to have to change a little bit. The way you interact. I know I have found that with my own children. And my children are technically all officially adults. Sometimes they have their moments and I'm thinking, how old are you? I'm scratching my head. But guess what? We all have those moments. I don't care if you're over half a century. I don't care if you're ancient and you're way up there. And you're a great grandparent and you're looking down, or a great auntie. No. It doesn't matter. We have to shift, right? Because guess what? Our kiddos are growing and so are we. And with growth comes more wisdom. With more experiences comes what? More lessons learned, right? Good or bad. So the next time you feel that hear me out rising up before you speak, pause, take a breath. Okay, maybe not that loud, but I had to over-exaggerate so you could actually hear me breathing. And then say it. But then hand the phrase back. Ask them to hear you out, and then genuinely hear them out too. Not every conversation needs a winner. Sometimes you're going to be neutral. Sometimes there's going to be a clear winner. And sometimes you just need two people willing to be sharpened. Go in peace. Be present. Be incredible. Be you. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a glorious, blessed day. Bye-bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life and love your journey? Visit createyournow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.